Is it recording? Okay, I believe it's recording. Okay, hello, my name is Corey Johnson. I am here today to give a speech on traditional versus free-to-play model and what this means to you, the consumer. I really can't remember the first time or how old I was when I played my first game. I can't honestly tell you how old or what year it was that I graduated 6th grade or did all the amazing things that makes me me, but what I can tell you is all the warp zones of Super Mario Brothers. I can tell you all the codes to Grand Theft Auto, and I can easily tell you any character in the Final Fantasy series. What does this mean? This means that video games have had a major influence on my life, and not just mine, but 2 million, this is a hard number to say, 211.5 million gamers worldwide. Okay, that's big business, and with the big business comes an entirely different business model. As the industry grows and continues to gain rapid support, what ends up happening is that what used to work is not working anymore. Enter what's called the free-to-play model. Traditionally, most people will go to the store and purchase a video game for anywhere from $30 to $60. Nowadays, most people can get their games, or who aren't gamers, can play things like Farmville and Mafia Wars and Cityville and Billville and Ice Creamville and all that stuff right from their Facebook and iOS and things like that. These are more casual games than they are considered hardcore games, which grew up on the Super Mario Brothers and grew up on the PlayStation and wasted hours of time. I ain't say wasted, but invested hours of time into what they considered was their culture, a huge part of the art. What I'm here to do today is to give you a brief summary of both models and what this means for you, the consumer. Traditional games, like I said before, are games that are traditionally purchased in stores. So they're made by a developer, sold to a publisher, the publisher puts them in the stores, and the collective group makes money that way. The retailer, the publisher, and the developer. With a free-to-play model, what ends up happening is that any one of us with the assets can literally go out there and make a game right on the spot. Get it published or publish it ourselves. And with the free-to-play model, we can get our game out there, which not only gives us notoriety, but allows a lot of homebrew development. If you can imagine, Angry Birds literally started in somebody's home computer. Now look at this, worldwide. These guys have made millions, close to billions of dollars, off of a game that shoots birds at pigs. Anybody can do it. It's opened up the entire floodgates. So now, anyone who has a concept or an idea for a game can honestly put their game out there with the free assets and the free tools and be able to contribute to the art and the culture that they love. The rising cost of development in creating a video game, the average cost of a video game to make is anywhere from 30 million to 200 million. Current games like Battlefield 3, the actual development cost for that game was $188 million, not to mention a $120 million marketing budget. The game went on to sell 7 million copies, and you take 7 million and multiply it by 60. You take 7 million and multiply it by $60. You can do the math right there. They made a lot of money. Blockbusters like your Call of Duties or your Grand Theft Autos go on to sell multi-platinum, million diamond sales by record company jargon. That's a lot of money right there. But you look at a game like Angry Birds, which is $4 a pop at last at retail, and these guys have sold 100 million. We have to look at the math right there. If you've invested $20,000, considering time and resources to make a game that nets you a exponential profit, versus taking the risk of 60 million, 100 million, 120 million, and maybe, just maybe, somebody will buy your game, which model would be better suited for you? So with that being said, you have to look at examine both sides of the spectrum. Free to play is very good because it allows everybody to come in with a very little budget and be able to develop, whereas higher retail guarantees you a higher game. It's almost as if you're gambling. The more you put down, the bigger your return could be, or the bigger your loss could be. But if you keep making small bets, you just might luck up and actually be able to land on top. Get that leash in. With the basic understanding of what these models are and what companies are looking at when they create these games, let's expand on how they change the marketplace and their distribution. Free-to-play is a virus in the industry, and if it does, it has Pac-Man fever. Here's how the industry has changed with the success of cheaper and the most dangerous ideas to date. Is anybody in here familiar with what's called a MMORPG? Massive Multimedia Online Role-Playing Game. If all of those acronyms have just given you a headache, don't worry about it. World of Warcraft. Has anyone ever heard of a World of Warcraft? Okay, so we've got a nice demographic in here, and everybody has heard of World of Warcraft. Does anybody in here have a World of Warcraft account? No, but you've heard of it. That's what the industry does for you. That's what your developer does for you. That's what your publisher, does for you. They get your name out there. So even if you don't play the product, even if you don't care, no one knows if Betty Crocker is a real person. No one knows Duncan Hines' middle name. No one knows what exactly makes Pepsi Cola Pep. But it's a brand name. They know it. They recognize it. They know what to expect when they purchase said product. World of Warcraft, a game which is going on to literally make billions of dollars year after year. So much so that it is literally I guess you could almost even say a business of its own. Spending its own merchandise, spending its own, it's branded itself. It's become so successful that you can start playing the game for free. They'll just give it away to you, knowing that you're going to be hooked. Well, what does this mean for other MMOs in this genre? Well, a lot of them come in as a free-to-play. Because if you can't compete with something that big, then why not go ahead and just let everybody experience what you took your time to make? Well, the obvious thing is this. How do you make money off of said model? I mean, we're talking about free-to-play here. If it's free-to-play, how do you make money? How do I, the developer, get any money off of this? Well, what free-to-play games do are charge microtransactions. So if anyone's ever played Farmville or Cityville or any of those games, you can get Farm. You can do about an hour or something like that. I think it'll let you do 10 turns. Or a couple of those games give you X amount of turns. But if you want to get your farm looking very nice, you can go to the store, spend $10, get your coins, come back, and with virtual currency, get extended time or additional pigs or additional plants or additional houses, and past that point, you're ahead of the pack. So you're therefore ahead of most of your friends in the game because you took the actual currency and turned it into virtual currency. Well, when you think about this, I just spent $10 on a virtual item. That doesn't exist. So therefore, this is all profit. There's nothing but profit going back into a free-to-play model with the microtransactions. Popular games like Diablo 3, which have created their own inline store for people who create their own armors and things like that. They can actually have an auction house in the game where you can spend your hard-earned money to purchase equipment and relics and things like that that will assist you in the game. Again, these are microtransactions which add up to a lot of money. This goes against the traditional retail model to a certain degree. Where a traditional retail model is you pay $60 for your game, you go home, you play your game to the game industry. Case in point, Psychonauts was an excellent game. $60, well worth, well played. But what if I told you the story didn't have to end there? What if I told you there was something that went on after the game? Would you pay to want to see it? I mean, if this is one of your favorites, why not? The traditional retail model now is going into what is called downloadable content, or DLC for short. So if you don't want your game to end, you can go ahead and buy this additional pack and have a couple of additional adventures. What's popular about it is Call of Duty, where they have 4 or 5 different maps where everyone can go online and play together and shoot each other up and then get additional maps to add on. So what that means in this entirety is that the traditional model is now catching on to what the free-to-play is doing. And they obviously are doing something. You're always doing something right if people are copying it. You know what I'm saying? You're always on to something if people are starting to do what you're doing. With all the attention to these free-to-play games, how is it possible that these games are maximizing their financial potential without a price point, even more so with the high price point of traditional games. Well, just like we were talking about with the DLC,